Alright guys, this is Faded Zephyr. I'm coming at you with another video here. I know it's been a while. I took a little break, but I'm back because I wanted to cover the new PlayStation Sony game showcase that happened, because I guess this is the replacement for E3, for better or for worse. I know Microsoft's doing one next month. I'll cover that one when that happens. I think I covered it last year as well. It was one of the first videos I did, if I recall right. But anyway, beyond that point, we're gonna cover the Sony game showcase here. First, I'll just sum up my overall thoughts. Honestly, it was mid teetering towards bad. It could have been worse. I mean, they showed some games, a lot of which I kind of feel bad saying that, because like a lot of the games, or some of the games that are like you'd think would be like big hitters or people would like I just I'm not into. But some of it was from the showcase itself. For like a game showcase, they showed like a lot of short trailers and short clips and like cinematic trailers and stuff, but they didn't show a lot of sustained gameplay. They only showed sustained gameplay towards the end with Spider-Man, and it's like Spider-Man, I mean, I'm not saying Spider-Man's gonna be bad, because it's obviously gonna be good because the first one was good, but it's just gonna be more of the first one but better. We kind of know what to expect from it, so it was alright. Yeah, my overall thoughts were, I wish we would have seen more gameplay, and on top of that, a lot of the stuff they revealed, for like a Sony game showcase, a lot of this stuff is on PC. I mean, I don't care because I own a PC and I play games on PC, but those are my overall thoughts. Now, what I'm gonna do, I wrote notes down on each game that they showed as we were going through the showcase, and I'm just gonna give my thoughts real quick off the cuff on each game. At the end, I'm gonna say something about these game showcases in comparison to like what E3 was and stuff. So anyway, here we go. We're gonna start off. We started off with Helldivers 2. There was some other weird thing before it, but I don't really know what it was, and it was stupid, so we're gonna skip it. The first one they showed really was Helldivers 2. I mean, it looks fun, I guess. I mean, it's a third-person shooter. It reminds me of a lot of those like Earth Defense Force games that came out like in the mid 2010s. If anybody remembers those, they're like super low budget. But it reminds me of like a modern version of that. It's got kind of like a Starship Troopers kind of vibe to it. I mean, it looks fun, but like the thing is with games like that is they often get repetitive, and they didn't really show me anything to make me think that it's just not gonna get repetitive after a couple hours. I mean, other than like the whole, it's obviously a squad-based thing, so you're supposed to play it with your friends and stuff, but like, I don't know, give me something. It didn't even show that much variety in enemies. Like, you need to have a large variety in enemies, and like different fun weapons to use in different ways. Like, you gotta keep it interesting. So I don't know. Again, with these trailers they show, it's kind of hard to get a grasp because they only show gameplay for a few seconds at a time at most, so it's hard to get a real grasp on what the gameplay's like. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Helldivers 2. Immortals of Avernum, I need to see more on this. The gameplay, again, they don't show, it was like they show gameplay for like a few seconds at a time, and it's like you can make anything look good when you're only showing for gameplay for a few seconds at a time. You cherry pick the fucking best moments. Anyone can you can make anything good look good. You could probably make Redfall look good, you know, doing that shit. So like, I need to see a sustained gameplay trailer. I mean, it looks fun from what I saw. It depends on, I think it's gonna depend on how many powers there are to use, how fun they are to use, and the enemy variety. It's gonna depend on how fun the combat is, because the story looked kind of generic and stupid. But hey, I mean, it could be fun. I'll keep my eye on it, I guess. I need to see more about it. It looked, I guess, somewhat interesting, even though the story looks kind of shitty. But if the combat's fun, it could be fun. Next one was Ghost Runners 2. I don't even know what the fuck this was. Is this like a runner game? It's like some sci-fi game. You're like this sci-fi robot cyborg guy with a sword running down and cutting people up, and that's about all I know, because they didn't show shit, so I don't even know what to think about it. I mean, show me something. And you're showing all these games in rapid fire. If you don't hook me somehow, I'm just gonna forget about your fucking shit, because there's too many games that are coming out and that are out to play. My time is limited. So if you don't hook me with your trailer, I'm just gonna forget about it. And I'm gonna forget about Ghost Runners 2 after I make this video. Phantom Blade Zero, I mean, it looks really flashy. It looks nice. I mean, it looks very cinematic. Combat seems kind of Souls-like in the sense, like, you saw a guy, like, hiding behind a pillar because this, like, guy with a giant flail, or this enemy with a giant flail was coming at him. The art style, like the dark and drab kind of dead-looking world, is very Souls-like. It could be fun, but here's the kicker on this one, and this is something I figured out after the fact. The developer for this is some mobile 2D gacha fucking game bullshit developer. That's a red flag number one. And red flag number two, they were saying that gameplay, that wasn't gameplay that it was showing. Those clips, that was just in-engine footage. Now, I could be wrong on that. Maybe it was a mistranslate, or not a mistranslation, but maybe, you know, I read it wrong. But from what I was reading, they said it was in-engine. That's not how it's going to look in-game, so another red flag. Number three, there's no release date. We don't know anything about it other than what we saw. It's possible that they pulled like an Anthem or some shit, and they made this trailer in-engine, and they haven't really started developing the game yet. With trailers like this, you could easily fool people and do that kind of shit. So, I mean, with Anthem, they fucking did a whole gameplay trailer that wasn't even gameplay, so... But that's a whole nother thing. So, look, if it plays as good as it looks, then this game will be really fucking good. But the things that I mentioned is definitely got me skeptical. So, next game, Sword of the Sea. It's another one of these psychedelic pastel adventure games with, like, super simple gameplay. I mean, it looks like... It reminds me of, like, Journey or like, Sable that came out. There's a few of these kinds of games that have come out. I like the vibes. I like the art style. I like all that shit. I personally prefer my games to have a little bit more to do, more challenge and more stuff than just to look at. But I definitely do get these kind of games have their audience. I like looking at them. I'll watch videos of them more than I like playing them, just because if I'm playing them, I need a little bit more interaction, I guess, other than just choosing where to go and looking at stuff and some basic platforming. But it looks good for people who are into it, so, but it is a niche thing. I don't think it's gonna have wide appeal, so we're still looking for something that has wide appeal to most people. And I think this was another one that's on PC anyway, so it's like... Alright, next game. Neva. I guess this is an Ori and Will the Wisp ripoff. That's what it looks like. I don't know what it is, because they barely showed anything. Because there's no gameplay. It looked like a 2D, like, Metroidvania, Ori-style game, or Hollow Knight-style game that looked more like Ori in terms of art style. I mean, it could be fun. If it's really... I doubt... These kind of games, for me, they have to have really... They can't just look pretty. They have to have really good combat or gameplay, or really fun gameplay. Like, my favorite one of these kind of games that have come out recently was Hollow Knight. I actually really, really like Hollow Knight. I would even say I love that game, but I don't love that game just because it looks pretty, though it does, definitely. But the combat in that game is really fun, and it's easy to learn, but it is hard to master with the different charms you can get, and the way the healing works and the channeling works and stuff. There's actually more strategy to it than it first appears, and it is fun. With these kind of games, that's what it depends on. It depends on if the combat's fun, at least for me. Cat Quest is the next game, and it's some weird top-down Zelda-like indie game. It's like Wrath of the Lamb, or Cult of the Lamb, which I talked about last year, I think it was, or whenever that game came out. Except it's like more of like a PG, lighthearted version. It looks like a game that, you know, I'm sure if it's not, doesn't cost too much, some people will play it. I mean, I'm sure it has its audience. It's not for me, really. I mean, it's something, I guess. That's the thing with a lot of these games in this showcase, is like, it has their niche audience for sure. There's definitely a core audience of people that are going to buy it, but it's not something to sell a system, is it? Nor is it really something that you would get excited. Most general people would get excited about. Like Cat Quest, that looks like something I'd say if I wouldn't be excited for it to come out day one, personally. I might get it if it's on sale, and I imagine that's how most people are. Unless they're super into top-down beat-em-ups, I guess. Which there are that group of people, but I don't think it's a very large group. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if they're trying to cast a wide net to appeal to large groups of people, they're not doing well with this showcase. In evidence by this next game, Foam Stars. It's some Splatoon ripoff, I guess. It's neon, there's foam. Dude, it looks honestly really fucking cringy to me. I'm sure there's a core group of people that likes this kind of stuff. This party game type thing that they can play with their friends and not take too seriously. Is it really worth a showcase slot though? I mean, this is a game showcase. This isn't like this is like your E3 replacement. So why are all these like little games that not many people are gonna really care much about? Why are you giving them such a highlight? It doesn't make any sense to me. Whatever. I'm not ripping on the people. Look, if you're excited for Foam Stars, you know, I'm happy that you're excited for it. My point is not to dunk on people that are excited for shit. My point is for a game showcase where they're trying to show off the best of what they got, that's going to appeal to the most people, try to get them to either buy a PlayStation or be Sony fans or whatever, you're doing a bad job. That's my point. Lucky Squire, next game. Family-friendly 3D adventure platformer. Not my thing. It's another niche indie, and I don't hate indies. That's the thing. You know, I like a lot of indie games that a lot of other people don't like. But it's just like, problem with a lot of these too, you're not showing anything. When you show these little cinematic trailers, you're not showing really much at all of what the game's like. I think this one, the art style looks fun. It's kind of like grounded mixed with like Kirby's Epic Yarn, I guess. If anyone remembers that game on the Wii, I think it was. That's kind of what it reminds me of. It looks fun. I'm sure some people will enjoy it, but is it worth a spot on the showcase? I don't think so, but whatever. Teardown. It's a Minecraft Roblox mixed with Call of Duty. I mean, it looks decent, but it's already out on PC. It's been out on PC. Oh, it's coming to PlayStation. Who gives a shit, man? It's a game that's already been out. Do you really think that that's gonna generate a huge shit ton of hype? I mean, how many, like, Roblox, Minecraft fans do you think are really on Sony PlayStation that are going to be playing this shit? Honestly. Give me a break, dude. It looks fun, though. I mean, I might look it up. I might see if it's any good on PC. Is it worth a shot when it's not exclusive and it's already out? No, I don't think so. A Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. At least this is something that a lot of people will probably care about. The problem, I don't. I've never been a Metal Gear fan. I like some stealth games, but I've just never vibed with the Metal Gear stuff. It seems really pretentious to me and up its own asshole, story-wise at least. The stealth seems kind of basic and rudimentary. It's just not my thing, but a lot of people enjoy it, so I'll have to give them wins for that, I guess. They'll have to take a W for that, because it's the first one, at least that has wide appeal. Even though it's not for me, I can acknowledge that it's for a lot of people. Towers of Gashba. Right, this was that 3D adventure game. This looks kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie, this looks really good. This is definitely another good game that they showed, even though, you know, it's another one of these stupid cinematic trailers where they don't show much. If they can keep up that level of spectacle that was in the trailer throughout the whole game. Because the gameplay looks kind of simple. It looks kind of just go here, grab this, go here. They didn't even show any combat. So it's another one of these games that looks nice, but it's different. It's not like the psychedelic pastel art style that Sword of the Sea was. It's very creative. It looks like they were on the back of this giant like creature thing that was flying through the air, and then they were underwater, and it looked really nice. And look, if it keeps that level of spectacle up the whole game, it'll be a nice game if they don't charge too much for it. I do hope that there's a bit more to it gameplay-wise than they showed. It definitely looks nice, so... And I think that might have some appeal as well, so we'll give them that. Final Fantasy 16. This is another one that a lot of people love, so I'll have to give them a W for it, but again, just like Metal Gear Solid, just don't give a shit. Never really gave a shit about the Final Fantasy games. I've never really vibed with them personally. I'm just not really into JRPGs, honestly. I'm not into the formula. I'm not really into the kind of gameplay that they offer. The stories, honestly, from what I've been exposed to, aren't that bad. It's not really the storylines that bother me. It's more the gameplay that I don't like. So, you know, even when they moved on from the turn-based shit, like with the people moving around, it just looks generic, man. It doesn't look exciting or fun to me. It just looks really generic. Like I remember Final Fantasy, that new remake that came out. Final Fantasy 7 had they had that movement system where you like your characters move around and then you pick the attacks. And it's like great. The Tales of series has been doing that for like over 10 years now. Like, it's not an innovation, dude. You're just catching up with what other games have already innovated and done. Whatever. It is what it is. My point being, after I went on that long diatribe that had absolutely nothing to do with Final Fantasy 16, is I just don't care. So, but a lot of people do, so at least it's something that has appeal. So it is what it is. Alan Wake 2. It looks alright, I guess. I remember trying to play the first game a while back, and it just not grabbing me. After the first couple hours of playing it, it just got boring. It was just repeating the same gameplay loop over and over and over again. You go through a location and you do the shine your flashlight, shoot the guys, and there wasn't really that much variety of enemies. So it just got boring, and the story wasn't really enough to carry it. So I just lost interest after a couple hours. But I might give it another try. Maybe I'll do it on camera, or maybe I'll do a Let's Play or something. Oh yeah, no, that being said, I know a lot of people are waiting for it. A lot of people are excited for it. This is another game, you know, that has wide appeal. There's a problem though. This isn't PlayStation exclusive. This was never going to be PlayStation exclusive. This was always on PC, so why is it here? I mean, I get, you know, it's a game that a lot of people are excited for, but it's not a Sony exclusive. Like, at least with Metal Gear and Final Fantasy, at least those are Sony exclusive things, I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't think that I think Final Fantasy was like a timed exclusive thing, or like a console exclusive thing. But I think it is available on PC, because I remember having issues on PC, like every fucking game does now. But yeah, Alan Wake 2 is not a Sony exclusive, so I don't understand why it's here. And there's of course they didn't really show any gameplay. It's another one of these cinematic things, as every one of these trailers are, which is a problem, but I'm not going to go over the same thing again. Next game, Assassin's Creed Mirage. This is the first time that I actually showed something other than the Powers of Gaspa game, I guess, even though I forgot about it. That I kind of have maybe a little bit of hope for, even though it's a Ubisoft game, because here's the thing, I fell off of the Assassin's Creed games around the time, pretty much after Black Flag, because Black Flag was good, but not for the reasons that the games before it were any good. And then after that, I think, what was the one that was set in France? The one that was set in France was pretty good. But every game after that is just, and the couple games before that, but after Black Flag, were just terrible. They're terrible. Even the old games had the old Ubisoft map design. Go here, clear the marker out, you know, all that shit. Go to the outpost, reveal the map, all that shit. But like the parkour in those games were kind of what set them apart, because the parkour, people tend to forget like how good that system really was. Maybe not in the first game, because they hadn't really got it down on how to do it yet. But like I would argue from the second game onward, the parkour is really damn good in the Assassin's Creed games, especially when you're in the densely packed cities that most of the games after Black Flag didn't have, which is why they were terrible, in my opinion. They weren't fun to move around, and when you take the movement and the parkour out, and you're just left with shitty map markers with boring side objectives that just get repeated over and over. Yeah, of course, it's gonna get fucking boring. Even the one that was set in Greece didn't really have nearly as much of the traversal and the parkour and stuff that the early games did, in which you think it would in ancient Greece, but whatever. It had a little bit of it, just like Valhalla had a little bit of it, but it really did feel like it was sidelined. This game looks like it's actually going back to hopefully more parkour-focused roots, where it's funner to get around. It'll still have the Ubisoft design, I have no doubt. It looks like a return to form, kinda, so I have my eye on it, because if it's as good as the first few Assassin's Creed games were, then it looks very similar to those games, honestly. Maybe it's because they're set in a more tropical climate as opposed to Valhalla. Well, Greece was, the Odyssey was too, though, but I don't know. It looks somewhat like a return to form, I guess, so I got my eye on it. The thing is, it's an Epic Game Store exclusive, so I'm not going to be able to play it for probably a long time, because I refuse to buy Epic. Y'all motherfuckers need to stop fucking having shit be exclusive to a launcher. I'm not going to fucking buy 5 different. I'm not gonna buy an Epic launcher to play 5 games on it. I'm not gonna fucking do it. Kiss my fucking ass. So if it's as good as this looks, it might be good. Depends on, you know, if they actually improve their mission design and stuff, and if the parkour is as good as I'm hoping it'll be. Then even though it'll be good, I won't be able to play it because fuck Epic Game Store and fuck Ubisoft for forcing me to fucking get that goddamn dog shit. Next game, Relevant Hill, 2D Sky. It's a 2D side-scrolling cat game. They didn't really show shit. I don't know if it's like a narrative-focused game. It's obviously an indie. I don't know if it's a platformer. I don't know if it's just supposed to be like a side-scrolling artistic. I don't know. I love cats, but I mean, show me something, man. Like, what the fuck is this game about? It's a French game, I guess, or it's inspired by like French culture. So I guess that makes it unique. Show us more, man. That's what I'm saying with these indie games. Show us more, because if you don't hook us, we're just gonna forget about the fucking shit. There's like fucking 20, 25 games here. We're not gonna remember your fucking game if you don't hook us, and this game didn't hook me, so I'm gonna forget it. Even though I do love cats. A Granule Fantasy Relink, and this looks like the perfect example of a generic third-person hack and slash anime bunch of shit. All right, like, look, I get, you know, these games have their audience too. People like the flashy animations, and you know, they like the art style and all that stuff. But like, this looks like any generic third-person Monster Hunter clone that has come out in the past 10 years, man. It looks like there's absolutely nothing different about it. It's just generic anime trash. So you like it, you're a big weeb, you probably are gonna play it anyway, but it's just not for me, man. It looks too generic. It is what it is. Street Fighter 6, I honestly, I don't care. I'm more of a Mortal Kombat guy. Honestly, I'm not really big on fighting games in general, except Mortal Kombat, because Mortal Kombat's a bit more casual, and you don't have to learn fucking footsies and frame data and all this other fucking bullshit just to even have a hope of competing against, like, online and against other people. Yeah, it's not my thing. Plus, it's kind of a nostalgia thing too. I never really played any of the Street Fighter games growing up, but I did play the Mortal Kombat games, and I watched, even at a very young age, like 4 or 5, when I was too young to really play it, I would watch my brother play the Mortal Kombat games on the original PlayStation and the PS2, even though they're the crappy ones. So I kind of have like a deep childhood link to Mortal Kombat, and I don't have that with Street Fighter. So I just, and like I said, I just don't really like fighting games in general, other than Mortal Kombat. So again, they don't really show any gameplay. They're showing cinematic stuff, which I know people were hoping for Street Fighter to be on the same level of Mortal Kombat in terms of like the effort put into the cinematics, or the quality, I guess. But I'm happy for the Street Fighter fans who are happy. So it is what it is. I got my Mortal Kombat game coming later this year, so I'm not even upset about it. Ultros. I mean, it looks nice. I love the art style. It looks, again, with these 2D Metroidvania games, you really gotta nail the gameplay, man. If the gameplay's not fun, you're gonna lose me. Even if it's amazing to look at, like, that's just not enough to engage me. So I'll keep my eye on it. I'll see if there's, like, there was another game that came out that had a really nice art style and was nice to look at too. It was a Curse of Lucius Fox, I think, or something like that, or Last Case of Lucius Fox, something like that. And it sucked because the gameplay was bad. And it's like, I need more than just pretty visuals, guys. This might have it, it might not. They didn't show it, but I guess I'll check up on it if I remember to. Again, it didn't really hook me, so none of these games really did. It is what it is. Tower of Fantasy. More anime hack and slash third-person Monster Hunter clones. Like, this game literally looks almost indistinguishable from Granule Fantasy Relink, which is why I didn't like that game, and which is why I don't care about this game. It is what it is. The weebs will probably like it. Sony's a Japanese company, so they're gonna have these games. I'm not gonna knock them. They clearly have an audience. Not for me. It is what it is. Dragon's Dogma 2. Now, the first game I tried, and it kind of lost me because it seemed kind of directionless. The story seemed kind of lacking. I don't know what it was. It's just something about the way the story and the way it was structured. It just put me off of it. Despite how good supposedly the combat is. If they make it, I'm hoping it's a better story and it's structured better. I will say this game at least sets itself apart from the last game, that Tower Fantasy game, that Granular Fantasy Relink, because you can climb on the monsters and stuff. There you go. It's something simple and basic, but it's different and it sets it apart. So that's, if you want to make this kind of game, that's what you have to do. You have to do something unique that'll set you apart from these other generic clones, because otherwise you're just going to be another generic clone. So I just wanted to highlight an example of one of these kinds of games done right. So, and it's not because, oh, it doesn't look as weebish. It's nothing to do with the art style, man. It has to do with specific mechanics that are unique to your game. So that's what it is. NAF Help 1 and 2. Look, I'm sure some people are looking forward to it. A lot of people that have followed this franchise forever, man, I'm just tapped out. I followed this for a long time, and it really just does seem like the well is dry at this point. Like, I'm just so tired. The concept hasn't evolved, really, and the ways that it has evolved hasn't really been that interesting. The whole concept of dead kids and the fucking animatronics and stuff is old hat at this point, and they really haven't evolved much past that point, other than like involving souls and things like that, which, like I said, the way they have evolved it is kind of dumb in my opinion. I'm just tapped out, man. I'll watch the lore videos, I guess, but just because I've already invested so much into the lore and things, at least looking it up, because it was interesting to me at first, and then I just kind of kept following it because I started following it, and I won't play it. I don't play the games. I just look up the lore videos. I'm just tapped out, man. I'm not excited for it. I don't care. They really just need to do some big curveball or something to fucking innovate that series, because like from what I'm seeing, and I'm like subbed to a couple people that like are bigger fans of this than I ever was, even they're getting tapped out on this shit, and they're just like, I'm like, do something interesting, please. Like, Resident Evil 4 remake. Well, fuck this for being a PSVR exclusive. It's the same thing with Resident Evil 7, which I wanted to play desperately on my fucking my MetaQuest, and I fucking can't because it's not available on there. It's only available on PlayStation fucking VR, which is bullshit. But hey, I'm glad that, you know, VR is getting some attention. I'm always glad to see, because VR has a lot of potential. It needs developers working on it and pushing the envelope. That's kind of the problem, and they don't really have that right now. The next few games are all remakes, honestly, or not remakes, they're VR games. Honestly, a lot of the best like things on VR aren't even like the dedicated VR games. It's like the mods for games that already exist to make them VR. I know there was like a Left 4 Dead 2 one that I wanted to try out. There was a Half-Life 2 one. There was a Doom 3 one, which Doom 3 isn't even that great of a game, but in VR it might be a bit better. Like, there's a whole bunch of them, dude. So I got Resident Evil 4 remake, Arizona Sunshine 2, though I don't know if that was gameplay. I think I saw somewhere that said that it wasn't actual gameplay, it was just in-engine, which is bullshit. But, which, if that's the case, fuck that. Crossfire Sierra Squad looked good, but I heard the first one was terrible, so whatever. And Synapse, it's a Boneworks-like art style and really cringy dialogue. Like, it almost looked like it was giving Atomic Heart a run for its money. Kind of looks a bit repetitive, like it just showed you using the same guns and using the same, like, move the object and swipe it left to take out groups of guys over and over, or like fucking move an explosive barrel, lift an explosive barrel up into the air and slam it back down and blow it up. Like, it just looked like the same kind of shit over and over. You know, I'm always glad to see more VR games and VR getting more support, so it might be good, but I'm still glad it's here. Beat Saber is getting another update, which is going to break all the mods, which most people that play that game don't even update the shit, because they don't want to break all the fucking custom songs and shit that's on there. So I don't even know why they bother updating the shit anymore. Every time they update it, they add like one new song. I think this is like an update for one new song. Ooh. I mean, it's a good song. Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. It's probably my favorite Queen song. But like, is it really necessary? Is it really necessary to have a slot on your game showcase dedicated to one song being released? Give me a fucking break, man. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of these do not warrant being here. It's a good song, don't get me wrong. It's a really good song. It doesn't warrant it. I'll listen to it on my own time. Marathon. This is a game by Bungie, so this is one of their big hitters. Supposedly is one of their biggest devs. It's a PvP extraction shooter, I guess. They didn't show us much other than like the art style. But from what I read online, it's a PvP extraction shooter. Bungie always does really good gunplay. They've always done really good gunplay back to the very first Halo game. So I'm sure the gunplay on it will be fantastic, just like Destiny and Destiny 2's and Halo's gunplay was. But I'm not really into PvP extraction shooters. But, I mean, we'll see. It's Bungie, so I guess I'll have my eye on it. You know it's going to be, given that it's fucking Bungie, you know it's going to be fucking monetized to hell and back. There's going to be season passes and expansion passes and fucking cosmetics out the ass and fucking EXP boosts and, you know, everything you can think of. So, yay for that. Modern gaming. Destiny 2 is the next game, which has that same shit. That's how we know it's gonna be in Marathon. Look, I don't play this game constantly, so it's really hard. I play a couple times a year. I'll get into it for like a month or so. Like Dead by Daylight for me, actually. It's just one of those games where I'll get into it briefly at various points throughout the year. But given that I don't keep up with like what's happening and all the seasons and all that shit, it's hard for me to keep track of where the fucking story's going or what's going on. So I know you can just look it up on YouTube, but man, you shouldn't have to do that shit, man. This fucking time-gated bullshit is so stupid. It's fucking dumb. Whatever, people are excited for it. This is got wide appeal, so there's that. But I mean, if you don't play Destiny, but Destiny 2, like that's the thing. It's not like this expansion pass is gonna be coming out only on fucking PlayStation. Like there's nothing. It's stupid. Same thing with Marathon. Is the Marathon coming out on fucking only on PlayStation? I don't think so. Maybe it is. I don't know, dude. Fucking let me know in the comments if you fucking made it this far into the video. Concord. It's the next game. It's some ship in hyperspace. Like, dude, this trailer is the quintessential example of what I've been saying throughout this whole video of fucking show us something. What the fuck was this trailer? You have some fucking ship in hyperspace. It shows some fucking cheeseburger or something, and then that's it? What the fuck is this? Like, you might as well have just shown a fucking screensaver that just came on screen or something. It's looked like a loading screen. Like, what the fuck, man? I don't know what this is, other than, is it a sci-fi? I guess it's a sci-fi game. We don't know what kind of game it is. We don't know the fucking tone. We don't know anything. We don't know shit. You might as well have just shown us nothing. You might as well have just shown us a picture. That's literally what this was. It was just a screen of some ship in hyperspace. That's it. And you wasted a spot for it. You wasted time showing us nothing. Gran Turismo. It's a racing game movie. I mean, dude, do we really need this? I mean, not every goddamn game needs to be turned into a movie. For fuck's sake, dude. What, it could have been any generic. It's like, I mean, it's only named Gran Turismo for the name recognition, but like, it looks such generic trash, man. It doesn't even look good. It looks fucking boring. We don't need every game. I know I just did a top 10 fucking games that could be made into good adaptations. Adapt one of those. Don't fucking make a fucking shitty ass racing movie and then slap fucking Gran Turismo on it, and then it's a video game adaptation, guys. Fuck out of here. Sony handheld. I don't even know what the fucking point of this is. You can play a game on your fucking controller. I guess it's a fucking Sony Wii U that is coming out in 2024, whenever the fuck this thing is coming out. Who did anyone ask for this? Was anyone asking for this? I genuinely am asking a question, because I can't imagine. I mean, didn't we already go over this? Like, Nintendo did the Wii U and it sucked ass and no one liked it because it had to be connected to the system and you had to be, like, on the same fucking network as the system. And it's got, like, a shitty ass fucking small ass screen. Like, at least the fucking Switch has a bigger screen. I mean, this thing looks like shit, man. Whatever. I don't see the market for it, but maybe it exists. I don't fucking know. And then they ended it probably with the best game they showed, admittedly, which was Spider-Man. Now, here's the thing, we already knew Spider-Man's gonna be good. Like, we already know what to expect from it. It's pretty much what we expected. Hot swapping characters, yeah, that's, I mean, Grand Theft Auto did that in 2012, and there were many, many, many games that did it before then. Like, hot swapping characters is not a new thing. But, I mean, it looks good. They're doing Miles Morales with the symbiote suit to add a different twist onto the story. I normally don't like having Miles Morales shoved down my throat, not because he's a black Spider-Man, but just because I think he's kind of shoehorned into a lot of stories that he doesn't need to be. But I do think that this is a good use of him, where you have the whole arc where he gets the symbiote and it starts affecting his behavior and he starts becoming an asshole and all that shit. And then you have another Spider-Man that sees it for him to like bounce off of and relate to and see how he reacts. I think that's a good twist and a good addition. So we'll see. I mean, we already knew it was going to be good, and what they showed was pretty fun. It looked pretty fun, but it looked like more of the first game, which isn't bad because the first game is really good from what I hear. That's another game I haven't played. I might do on camera. I actually have it sitting in my Steam library. I've had it sitting in there for like a year almost. At least, but they did end it with a good one, so at least there's that. So in closing, there's a bunch of games, most of which I don't care about. It wasn't really that many games that had that much appeal. They spent a lot of time on indie games. And even the time on indie, I don't have a problem with spending time on indie games if you're going to show us what the indie games are, more about them, or tell us more about them, or have some, but you didn't. So these indie games we're just going to forget about because most of these trailers, and trailers are hard for indie games to do because indie games can't have the big bombastic trailer moments that AAA games can have. So it's like, it was a really shitty way, I think, to structure it, and a really shitty way to try to showcase indie games, which I do agree with trying to showcase, because I think there's a lot of indie games that go unnoticed, but at the end, especially the ones they showed, I don't think they picked a good crop of indie games. It seemed like the indie games they focused on were either 2D side scrollers or like top-down hack and slash things, which, I mean, it's fine, but when you have like 5 or 6 of those in your showcase, each 2 minutes long, they're going to blend together and people are going to fucking forget about them. And then even the AAA games they showed, it was either stuff we already knew about, a la Spider-Man, or Destiny, the final expansion, or stuff that's not exclusive, like Alan Wake 2 or fucking Dragon's Dogma 2. As a game showcase, that makes it good. Like, I don't care, because I'm a PC person, but like, as a Sony showcase, it was not good at all. It was actually fucking terrible. I'm trying to be nice about things, but that's my impressions. And another thing, this is my last thing I want to say before I finally end this fucking video. I don't like these game showcases and how sanitized and bland and corporate they feel. Say what you will about the E3 conferences and the E3 showcases and stuff, and how cringy and stuff they were, and how corporate and, you know, fellow kids they seemed. That was kind of part of the charm of them, and that at least made them memorable. Like people remember the memes and the funny moments and the cringe and all that shit. It added to the charm of it, man, and at least made it memorable. And at least at E3, sometimes you would have like developers that came out and talked about the games, which I will give credit if Microsoft Showcase actually does have that and has people coming out and talking, because I read the person hosting that, Jeff Keighley, he said that they were gonna actually talk to developers so they could talk about their games and showcase their games more and stuff, which, yes, absolutely, that should have been what Sony did here. Maybe I'd remember more of these games if they did that, but as it stands, I mean, like I said, it was just bland, sanitized, corporate, which is a problem with a lot of these game showcases, and it just, as a result, most of the games they showcased were forgettable, especially because of the way that it was structured. Those are my thoughts. I'm probably going to do one on the Microsoft Showcase that happens next month. I think it's going to happen next month. I'll do that one. I plan on releasing more videos. I got a couple in the works. But in the meantime, there's been Faded Zephyr signing out.